Got everyone turn to Exodus 20. Give me a time everyone gets there. And the Most High spake all these words, saying, I am the Lord thy God, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt, out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto me, thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image, or any likeness of anything, that is in heaven above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the water under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them nor serve them. For the Lord thy God, and a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers upon the children, unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that love me and keep my commandments. Thou shalt not take the name of thy power in vain. For I will not hold them guiltless that take his name in vain. Remember the Sabbath day to keep it holy. 6 days shalt thou labor and do all thy work. But the seventh day is the Sabbath of the Lord thy God. In it thou shalt not do any work, thou, nor thy son, nor thy daughter, nor thy manservant, nor thy maidservant, nor thy cattle, nor thy stranger that is within thy gates. For in 6 days the Lord made heaven and earth, the sea, and all that in them is, and rested the seventh day. Wherefore the Lord blessed the Sabbath day and hallowed it. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the land which the Lord thy God giveth thee. Thou shalt not kill. Thou shalt not commit adultery. Thou shalt not steal. Thou shalt not bear false witness against thy neighbor. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's house. Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife. Nor his manservant. Nor his maidservant. Nor his ox, nor his ass. Nor anything that is thy neighbor's. And all the people saw the thunders and the lightnings and the noise of the trumpet and the mountain smoking. And when the people saw it, they removed and stood afar off. And they said unto Moses, Speak thou with us, and we will hear. But let not Ahiah speak with us, lest we die. And Moses said unto the people, Fear not, for Ahiah has come to prove you, that his fear may be before your faces, that ye sin not. And the people stood afar off, and Moses drew near unto the thick darkness where Ahiah was. And the Lord said unto Moses, Thus shalt thou say unto the children of Israel, Ye have seen that I have talked with you from heaven. Ye shall not make with me gods of silver, neither shall ye make unto you gods of gold. And an altar of earth thou shalt make unto me, and shalt sacrifice thereon thy burnt offerings and thy peace offerings, thy sheep and thine oxen. In all places where I record my name, I will come unto thee. I will bless thee. And if thou wilt make me an altar of stone, thou shalt not build it of hewn stone. For if thou wilt lift up thy tool upon it, thou hast polluted it. Neither shalt thou go up by steps unto mine altar, that thy nakedness be not discovered thereon. I'd like to call up 7 readers, please. 1 Samuel chapter 5.
Shabbat Shalom. Mic check. Mic check.
Jesse, Brother Rock, the tribe of Judah, nation of Israel, reading 1 Samuel, beginning with chapter 5, verse 1. And the Philistines took the ark of the Most High and brought it from Ebenezer unto Ashdod. When the Philistines took the ark of the Most High, they brought it into the house of Dagon and set it by Dagon. Verse 3. And when they of Ashdod arose early on the morrow, behold, Dagon was fallen upon his face to the earth before the ark of the Most High. And they took Dagon and set him in his place again. And when they arose early on the morrow morning, behold, Dagon was fallen upon his face to the ground before the ark of the Most High. And the head of Dagon and both the palms of his hands were cut off upon the threshold. Only the stump of Dagon was left to him. Verse 5. Therefore, neither the priest of Dagon nor any that come into Dagon's house tread on the threshold of Dagon in Ashdod unto this day. For the hand of the Most High was heavy upon them of Ashdod, and he destroyed them, and smote them with emerods, even Ashdod and the coast thereof. Verse 7. And when the men of Ashdod saw that it was so, they said, the ark of the Most High of Israel shall not abide with us, for his hand is sore upon us, and upon Dagon our God.
Shabbat Shalom, family. Good to see you all again. Atazawam Makai, Nation of Israel, House of Judah, Tribe of Judah. Starting off at verse 8. They sent therefore and gathered all the lords of the Philistines unto them, and said, what shall we do with the ark of the power of Israel? And they answered, let the ark of the power of Israel be carried about unto Gad. And they carried the ark of the power of Israel about thither. Verse 9. And it was so that after they had carried it about, the hand of the power of the Most High was against the city with a very great destruction. And he smote the men of the city, both small and great, and they had emerods in their secret parts. Verse 10. Therefore they sent the ark of power to Ekron. And it came to pass, as the ark of power came to Ekron, that the Ekron it's cried out, saying, they have brought about the ark of the power of Israel to us, to slay us and our people. Verse 11. So they sent and gathered together all the powers of the Philistines, and said, send away the ark of the power of Israel, and let it go again to his own place, that it slay us not, and our people, for there was a deadly destruction throughout the city. The hand of power was very heavy there. Verse 12. And the men that died not were smitten with the emerods, and the cry of the city went up to heaven. Chapter 6. And the ark of the power was in the country of the Philistines 7 months. Verse 2 and the last verse. And the Philistines called for the priests and the diviners, saying, what shall we do to the ark of the power? Tell us wherewith we shall send it to this place. Amen.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Brother Kayah, son of Judah, house of Israel. Chapter 6, verse 3. And they said, if ye send away the ark of the Most High of Israel, send it not empty, but in any wise return him a trespass offering. Then ye shall be healed, and it shall be known to you why his hand is not removed from you. Then said they, what shall be the trespass offering, which we shall return to him? They answered, 5 golden emeralds, and 5 golden mice, according to the number of the lords of the Philistines. For one plague was on you all, and on your lords. Wherefore ye shall make images of your emeralds, and images of your mice, that mar the land, and ye shall give glory unto the Most High of Israel. Peradventure he will lighten his hand from off you, and from off your gods, and from off your land. Wherefore then do ye harden your hearts, as the Egyptians and Pharaoh hardened their hearts, when he had wrought wonderfully among them. Did they not let the people go? And they departed. Now therefore make a new cart, and take 2 milk kine, on which there hath come no yoke, and tie the kine to the cart, and bring their calves home from them. And take the ark of the Most High, and lay it upon the cart, and put the jewels of gold, which ye return him for a trespass offering, in a coffer by the side thereof, and send it away that it may go. And see if it goeth up by the way of its own coast to Beth Shemesh. Then ye have done us this great evil. But if not, then we shall know that it is not his hand that smote us. It was a chance that happened unto us.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. I'm Adler, son of Judah, house of Israel. Reading 1 Samuel 6, starting on the 10th verse. And the men did so, and took 2 milch kine, and tied them to the cart, and shut up their calves at home. And they laid the ark of the Most High upon the cart, and the coffer with the mice of gold, and the images of the emeralds. And the kine took the straight way to the way of Beth Shemesh, and went along the highway, lowing as they went, and turned not aside to the right hand or to the left. And the lords of the Philistines went after them into the border of Beth Shemesh. And they of Beth Shemesh were reaping their wheat harvest in the valley, and they lifted up their eyes, and they saw the ark, and rejoiced to see it. And the cart came into the field of Joshua, a Beth Shemite, and stood there where there was a great stone. And they clave the wood of the cart, and offered the kine a burnt offering unto the Most High. And the Levites took down the ark of the Most High, and the coffer that was with it, wherein the jewels of gold were. And they put on the great stone, and the men of Beth Shemesh offered burnt offerings and sacrifices the same day unto the Most High. And when the 5 lords of the Philistines had seen it, they returned to Ekron the same day.
Shabbat Shalom, family, and Brother Abadia. Continuing with verse 17. And these are the golden emeralds which the Philistines returned for a trespass offering unto the Most High. For Ashdod 1, Gaza 1, for Askelon 1, for Gath 1, for Ekron 1. And the golden mice, according to the number of all the cities of the Philistines belonging to the 5 lords, both of fenced cities and of country villages, even unto the great stone of Abel, whereon they sat down the ark of the Most High, which stone remaineth unto this day in the field of Joshua, the Beth Shemite. And he smote the men of Beth Shemesh, because they had looked into the ark of the Most High. Even he smote of the people 50,000 and 70 men. And the people lamented, because the Most High had smitten many of the people with a great slaughter. And the men of Beth Shemesh said, who is able to stand before this holy Most High? And to whom shall he go up from us? And they sent messengers to the inhabitants of Kirjath Jearim, saying, the Philistines have brought again the ark of the Most High. Come ye down and fetch it up to you. Chapter 7, verse 1. And the men of Kirjath Jearim came and fetched up the ark of the Most High, and brought it into the house of Abinadab in the hill, and sanctified Eleazar his son to keep the ark of the Most High. And it came to pass, while the ark abode in Kirjath Jearim, that the time was long, for it was 20 years, and all the house of Israel lamented after the Most High.
Shabbat Shalom, family. Silas, tribe of Judah, house of Israel, starting at verse 3. And Samuel spake unto all the house of Israel, saying, if ye do return unto the Lord with all your hearts, then put away the strange gods and Ashtaroth from among you, and prepare your hearts unto the Lord, and serve him only, and he will deliver you out of the hand of the Philistines. Then the children of Israel did put away Baalim and Ashtaroth, and served the Lord only. And Samuel said, gather all Israel to Mizpah, and I will pray for you unto the Lord. And they gathered together Mizpah, and drew water, and poured it before the Lord, and fasted on that day. And said there, we have sinned against the Lord. And Samuel judged the children of Israel in Mizpah. And when the Philistines heard that the children of Israel were gathered together to Mizpah, the lords of the Philistines went up against Israel. And when the children of Israel heard it, they were afraid of the Philistines. And the children of Israel said to Samuel, cease not to cry unto the Lord our God for us, that he will save us out of the hand of the Philistines. And Samuel took a sucking lamb and offered it for a burnt offering, holy unto the Lord. And Samuel cried unto the Lord for Israel, and the Lord heard him.
Shabbat Shalom, Shenya Chazak, Ban Yehuda, Ban Ashurala. Verse 10. And Samuel was offering up the burnt offering. The Philistines drew near to battle against Israel, but the Lord thundered with a great thunder on that day upon the Philistines, to discomfort the Philistines and discomforted them, and they were smitten before Israel. And the men of Israel went out of Mizpah and pursued the Philistines, and smote them until they came under Bethkar. Then Samuel took a stone and set it between Mizpah and Shin, and called the name of it Ebenezer, saying, hitherto has the Lord helped us. So the Philistines were subdued, and they came no more into the coast of Israel. And the hand of the Lord was against the Philistines in all the days of Samuel. And the city which the Philistines had taken from Israel were restored to Israel. From Ekron even to Gath and the coast thereof did Israel deliver out of the hand of the Philistine. And there was peace between Israel and the Amorites. And Samuel judged Israel all the days of his life. And he went from year to year in circuit to Bethel and Gilgal and Mishpah, and judged Israel in all those places.
Settle for the choir.
why it tells you in Revelation that the people that make it are gonna have the testimony of Christ, Yeshua, and the commandments at their disposal, being their record, what they kept. All right? Wisdom of Solomon 9. Let's turn there, we'll be in our apocrypha as well. 9 through 14. There has to be a final balance. We're also going to go to the 12 patriarchs too. Yeah, go ahead.
Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 9, verse 9. And wisdom was with thee, which knoweth thy way, and was present when thou madest the world, and knew that what was acceptable in the sight, and right in thy commandments. Oh, verse 10. O send her out of thy holy heavens, and from the throne of thy glory, that being present she may labor with me, that I may know what is pleasing unto thee. Verse 11. For she knoweth and understandeth all things, and she shall lead me soberly in my doings, and preserve me in her power. So shall my works be acceptable, and then shall I judge thy people righteously, and be worthy to sit in my Father's seat.
16. Read that, please.
Titus chapter 1, verse 10. For there are many unruly and vain talkers and deceivers, especially they of the circumcision.
Now, this is one of the ones I love because I'm already ready to go when Jake starts talking. That's what it's talking about. I already know it's going to be a smooth rap to try to convince me that whatever they did wrong was good. That's when you got to ruin their day. Well, the Bible saying that. Right? But it said, look, especially they of the circumcision. Read on.
Verse 11. Whose mouths must be stopped, who subvert whole houses, teaching things which they ought not, for filthy lucre's sake.
Right, you have people that will literally subvert a whole house, have a whole house now in sin because they start teaching something based off of what they can get in their pocket. Or otherwise, somewhere they can benefit from it. Start teaching false doctrine of confusion just to make a buck. Alright, read on.
Verse 12. One of themselves, even a prophet of their own, said, the Cretians are always liars, evil beasts, slow bellies. This witness is true, wherefore rebuke them sharply, that they may be sound in the faith. Verse 14. Not giving heed to Jewish fables and commandments of men that turn from the truth. Unto the pure all things are pure, but unto them that are defiled and unbelieving is nothing pure, but even their mind and conscience is defiled.
Right. So when you're in sin, even your conscience is defiled. You start to see things, everything through the lens of your sin. In fact, it'll be to a point where you'll literally base certain offenses off of what you understand from the world. This must mean that this person is thinking. Not knowing for a fact. Right? But it said here, I'm going to go back to this key part here. This witness is true in 13. Wherefore rebuke them sharply, that they may be sound in the faith. I was just talking to a brother back from back. And this is how I know how people too. Because this sometimes has to be the case. I remember doing things like fasting and getting a call with some craziness. And I had to rebuke them sharply. I remember rebuking the sister so much, she was like, oh, you're right, you know, that is me. But at the beginning, she was going crazy on me. Nobody ever told you, you know. And the thing is, that's the way it is with us sometimes. You got to sometimes be sharp. It's not to hurt anybody. But sometimes you need that swiftness there. And you have to also, on the other side, appreciate when somebody's that way to root out that mess. Okay? 16.
They profess that they know the Most High, but in works they deny him, being abominable and disobedient, and unto every good work reprobate.
Right, anything good happens that's righteous, they have a problem with. This is a testament to, really, if you look at today, just the way the world is today. Sure, it happens in our communities, but it's the way of the world. They have a big problem with righteousness in this world. It's serious at this point. It's to a point where you can't even have a mic and talk on the street, even if you're not, Bill Gates. Because no one wants to hear anything that's going to help them these days. They want to stay in that sin. But we have to be different. Okay? Let's go on here. Yes, sir.
We can't profess that we love the Most High and frequent those who rebel, whether openly or not, against the things he says. One thing that those in sin do is find others who will co-sign on the evil that they do, so that the demons stay hidden. For example, usually real drug addicts don't hang around sober people.
Right. It's not usually a thing. You're going to find people that's buddies with you to go get you into your mess. As a matter of fact, if you were a person addicted to violence, your best friend had to be the one that's co-signing on whoever you wanted to go fight. Like, why do you want to fight again? Oh, yeah. It'd have been the dumbest reason. This person right beside you trying to fight. In fact, they don't even have the offense sometimes. They'll be the loudest person in. That's a problem. That's a real problem. So you have to realize, for one, and we're going to go to this next bullet point here in a second, you must change your environment. That's another thing. You can't keep frequenting the same people and expect a different result here. Well, here we got the Bible in between us, but we still sitting here smoking. I'm getting spiritually. Right? Like our people when we went into Rastafarianism and all that, right? We knew we were Israel and all that good stuff, right? But we're getting high as a kite. It's foolishness. What happened to fasting if you want to be spiritual? Why do we see that's the thing? You must learn that it's going to take a time. You need to clean your system out. It's going to be a time when you also have to deal with that isolation for a second, where you're just with the Most High. Okay? Because if you don't, you keep doing this. Some people will drag you right back to your mess before you got fully dead. Okay? So let's go to this next bullet point here, which is an aggressive defense.
Aggressive defense. When others touch on the topic of something you wrestle with, do you feel the agitation in your flesh?
And read that loud again.
When others touch on a topic or something you wrestle with, do you feel an agitation in your flesh?
Right. When someone starts to point out that little thing, they may be doing the spirit of love. They just got straight love. Do you feel agitated? Go ahead.
And you immediately defend yourselves with statements like, it doesn't bother me. If other people don't understand, that's their own issue. I can stop doing it anytime I want to, or I'm not hurting anyone else but myself. Or how about the old statement, well, that's just the way I am. Or, but my spouse or my family doesn't see a problem with it. In your spirit, do you know these things aren't true?
Right. When people start to say this kind of mess, they know it ain't true. They know there's a problem. They know that. I've had people that say, well, my wife and my husband don't have a problem with the way I dress. But if you were to be on that wall at home, I guarantee you it's a different thing you would have saw. Guaranteed. To the point where this person down in the, all right, I ain't even going there with this person no more. It's foolishness. You know what it is. So the whole thing is you have to get beyond these kind of foolish statements to deceive yourself, because no one can get you in the kingdom of heaven but you. You have to choose the right path. The Most High not forcing anybody here. I mean, did he not do it love for us? Right? So now it's on you to get yourself together. Make sure you're walking right, get your prayers in, make sure you fast when you need to. That's a key thing too. We sometimes the demons come up, we don't want to fast. That's rough, man. I don't want to do that. Well, then you're not doing everything possible to get in, are you? Okay? Read on that last statement then.
That aggression you feel is also demonic in nature, and you must be careful because demons have no limits to their aggression.
Right. You can become a weapon if you keep feeding that spirit, feeding into that anger. That happens with you trying to protect that special little thing, and they put that in that movie with it was like Lord of the Rings or something. There's that one little ring, you had the demon guy, he kept calling it precious, right? To the point where he killed somebody over it. That's how bad it can get. We might say that's not possible. No, it's very possible. They're playing off reality in these movies. It's very possible. There's plenty of people who have taken their life based off of some covetous spirit, some addiction. All right? Testament of Reuben here, we're going to go to chapter 3. And it's going to be verse 1 through 9. Because we just brought out that when you're dealing with that spirit, all of a sudden it can have you to the point where you're violent. You want to be aggressive. All right? Testament of Reuben, read that please.
Testament of Reuben, chapter 3, verse 1. First, the spirit of fornication is seated in the nature and in the senses. The second, the spirit is of insatiableness in the belly. The third spirit.
Right, wait. Let's do this a little slower here.
Okay.
All right. The spirit of fornication is seated in the nature and in the senses. So, one thing they understand when they're dealing with you, for example, with your commercials, is to appeal to just that. The spirit of fornication in many different ways. Okay? So that you now equate certain things that you encounter in life with that act, fornication. Okay? They didn't just come up with this idea to put people in scantily clad clothes while selling you a beer on a commercial for no reason. They understand how to manipulate you. Okay, that's what you have to stop too. Stop allowing yourself to be manipulated. I mean, seriously, how many people would probably, as soon as they saw some kind of fast food commercial with the steam popping out the burger, was like, man, I gotta give me a burger. They were playing with all your senses, including the sense of smell. So you see the steam going, you thinking how did that smell and everything? It's for that reason. They're playing with these types of spirits that have you one thing you know you shouldn't get right now. You know what I'm saying? And in abundance. Yeah, back then came up with supersize. There was a time when you didn't supersize things. Okay? So the more they wanted us to entertain those spirits, the more they just had to figure different ways to have us in that sense of smell and feel and all that. All right? So the second one goes into that one, the spirit of insatiableness you just read in the belly. That desire to constantly be in a situation where you're eating something or you're ingesting something, even just some drugs or something. And it's almost like a pain in your belly. That's a spirit. Here it is, you know you just ate 4 people's worth of a serving, and somehow you still like, man. You looking back to see how much is left in the, the little tray there or whatever. And it's that spirit. You already had more than what you needed. Okay? Now let's go to the third here.
The third spirit of fighting in the liver and gall.
Right. It says the third, the spirit of fighting in the liver and gall. When you're in an imbalanced situation spiritually, you tend to go into things where you want to fight. You want to be aggressive. Okay? When it's not even called for. So you have to understand these are very much things that actually keep us, actually it's funny, it's one of the tactics demons use to keep away from getting those spirits away from them is making you aggressive. Okay? You may be hiding something on the, you looking at the internet or something, and you ready to fight somebody coming in you. Because you're actually trying to hide some foolishness. This is the way it works. Okay? It's a constant situation in which you have to check yourself with that. And you notice it says in the liver and gall. When you read the actual testimony on that, there was a situation where they were dealing with anger, and it actually, I think it was Simeon, right? Because Simeon, he had an issue with his liver because of how he had anger towards Joseph. Okay? So let's see. The next one here.
the fourth is the spirit of obsequiousness and chicanery, that through officious attention one may be fair in seeming.
Right, this one can sometimes bring the spirit of fighting. Because check this out. At first, this person is trying to be nice to manipulate the situation. But if you call that thing out, then it's boom. Here comes the aggression. So you have to realize that that's what it's talking about here, that through officious attention one may be fair in seeming. A lot of your, pastor/pimp type things going on in these churches was just that. You understand? It was a lot of just trying to seem fair and seeming fair in order to manipulate a scenario. All right. Number 5.
The fifth is the spirit of pride, that one may be boastful and arrogant.
Right. So this is a big one too. And the funny thing is, when you're actually being, when someone's trying to help you get rid of an addiction, that thing can come up. Who does this person think they are telling me this? But it's true. But yeah, they have to say it like that. But they didn't really say much. They just kind of whispered to you. Yeah, but you know what they meant. So you literally sitting there trying to figure a way to make this thing through your pride. You're trying to be offended here. But all that person may have been trying to do is help you get out of your addiction. You see? Next spirit.
The sixth spirit is of lying and in perdition, and in jealousy, to practice deceits and concealments from kindred and friends.
Here we go. This is a good one. The sixth is the spirit of lying. And the whole thing with this spirit, it says to practice deceits and concealments from kindreds and friends. I remember seeing something back then. This is something people do still, of course. But I remember it was a scene where this person had an issue with eating a lot, right? And what they did was, when they were supposed to be watched with these cameras, they were hiding food, extra food, in this crocheting bag to the side, so that nobody knew this was going on. Well, it's the same thing with any sin. Remember we read at the beginning. If you can understand your sin, you can understand pretty much anybody's. Because it's the same spirits that will try to help you accomplish that sin. It's just a different form of it. It's the same exact story. If you have, for example, I'm going to give you an example of how we can do this with that one. If you have a drug addiction or alcohol addiction, and people are around you trying to keep you away from that, let's say you had some kind of intervention situation, but now you find a way to sneak stuff into different cabinets and stuff. This actually happens with people. Or find ways to slip away and then go get some gas so you can mess with your addiction. It's that same spirit telling you this stuff. Right? So let's continue. Let's see. The seventh.
The seventh is the spirit of injustice, with which are thefts and acts of rapacity, that a man may fulfill the desire of his heart, for injustice working together with the other spirits by the taking of gifts.
Right, so you'll have it'll be so intense upon you at certain points that you're willing to steal to accomplish your sin. You're willing to slip something out so that you can get what you need. This happens with many sins. Okay? Many. Let's see. Continue on.
And with all these, the spirit of sleep is joined, which is that of error and fantasy.
All right, so this is the eighth spirit. This is going to be unique to the lesson later. But this is the eighth spirit. So read that one again.
With all these, the spirit of sleep is joined, which is that of error and fantasy. And the soberish, every young man darkening his mind from the truth, and not understanding the law of the Most High, nor obeying the admonitions of his fathers.
Right, it says, and so perisheth every young man. Which put here some kind of window mess. But anyway, it says, so perisheth every young man, darkening his mind from the truth, and not understanding the law of the Most High, nor obeying the admonition of his fathers. So through that spirit of error and fantasy, which is a spirit that's been with you your whole life, knows how to make you think about all the wrong things, you end up falling. You end up messing up. Okay? And it says it darkeneth the person's mind. Alright? Read on.
Nor obeying the admonition of his father as he failed me also in my youth. And now, my children, love the truth, and it will preserve you. Hear ye the words of Reuben, your father.
Alright. So that's the thing. He even admitted, he said, listen, I wasn't listening to the advice of my fathers. The spiritual people I didn't even hear from. That sounds about right. That sounds what sin usually does. Well, moment you just close your ears. You know? So let's see. Let's go to this bullet point. Well, actually, excuse me. Let's go to this commentary here first.
For this particular bullet point, we will reference two spirits of the seven that joined with the eighth demon, error and fantasy, who has been there your whole life to destroy you. The spirit of fighting and the spirit of pride come together in order to offend and keep all those who may help a person break their addiction away. These are two of the biggest reasons why, when you are going through an addiction, the people who are sober seem to be less interactive with you. Those spirits try hard to isolate you in hopes of not having you be evicted upon sobriety.
Right, so they don't want to leave. So they're going to make you aggressive. They're going to make you do things like steal, because that'll make you leave fast. Somebody will want you up out of there, you keep stealing their electronics. You know what I'm saying? All that's to offend. So the only surprise person that was sober in your life will tell you like it is no longer there. All right? Let's go to Mark 5, 1 through 5. And see, the funniest part about that is, too, brothers and sisters, when you're addicted to something, you don't have your reasoning's not there at that time. So when that person says you gotta go, you mad at them like they're the problem. Oh, they cold. They're cold. What do you mean? There's only some sticks left in a little pot for them to lay on. You just stole everything about it. Mm-hmm. But at that time, you cannot reason properly. There's too many demons. All right? Read on.
Mark chapter 5, verse 1. And they came over unto the other side of the sea, into the country of the Gadarenes. And when he was come out of the ship immediately, there met him out of the tombs a man with an unclean spirit, who had his dwelling among the tombs, and no man could bind him, no, not with chains, because that he had been often bound with fetters and chains, and the chains had been plucked asunder by him, and the fetters broken in pieces, neither could any man chain him. And always, night and day, he was in the mountains and in the tombs crying and cutting himself with stones.
All right, read that.
As you can see, the demon compelled the man to not only harm himself with stones, but also to be isolated in a place where few people go while doing so. He was incredibly aggressive, and it was an aggressiveness which remained with him, whether in the night or in the daytime, just like our own addictions, which seem to never get rid of.
Right, and unfortunately, because I'll give you an example, it's a real epidemic with these drugs, especially over here, and you notice a lot of people end up in the street. That's not by chance, it's by design. The demons want them to be that way, be there. So they end up doing certain things to disturb you, have you uneasy, and all your family members and all that, running out of money all of a sudden, so that you're now isolated from those that will be able to tell you the certain things you need to hear to get back on your feet. All right? This is a real situation. You notice, though, this demon, let me go back up here 1 second. It says in verse 5, it even was to the point that it would have the person cutting themselves. There's lots of people that have done that. It was a big thing. It's like, it's funny, people were doing it without the help of the internet. So where did it come from? Where did the idea randomly come from in your head? It's a demon there. It was a demon there. Okay, so let's go to the next one here. Next bullet point here.
Playing the blame game. playing the blame game, placing blame for your rebellious actions on others, whether in the world or not, or searching hard for an offense through a scenario is a common tactic of addicts that keeps them from taking accountability for their own rebelliousness to the Father. If after other people or things are removed from the picture that were blamed before, and the behavior continues, it's evident that there's a problem within you that needs to be recognized.
And let me tell you, this is one of the biggest things where I have issues with people. Because I'll point that out, I'll say, okay, all right, I hear what you're saying about this scenario and that scenario, but are you telling me you've never dealt with this before? If there's someone else there, you're telling me this still won't happen? Because what we tend to do with these spirits is try to tell ourselves it's a special scenario in which this is happening. No, you're addicted to that problem. It doesn't matter. It's the one of the things that I definitely, and I'm sure others have said it, you can actually outrun a person. You can go to a whole different place, but you can't outrun yourself. You will do the same thing. I've seen it. I've seen people go to completely different countries, and if they want to deal with drugs, they found a way to find the guys that were dealing with drugs in those countries. I've seen it. So the whole thing is you must deal with you first and correct those ugly parts of you. Get rid of those addictions, because they will eventually take you down. All right? Let's see. Ecclesiastes 5. Let's turn in 6 through 7. I can't emphasize that enough, though. The scriptures say, we read it when we do the communion, let a person examine themselves. If you're still addicted, I don't care what the addiction is, understand it will follow you from country to country. Demons don't need plane tickets. I hope you know that. They do not need plane tickets. They're not going to say, well, I can't pay for this one. I'm going to have to let them go with it. So they will follow you. All right? Ecclesiastes 5.
Ecclesiastes chapter 5, verse 6. Suffer not thy mouth to cause thy flesh to sin, neither say thou before the angel that it was an error. Wherefore should the Most High be angry at thy voice, and destroy the work of thy hands? For in the multitude of dreams and many words there are also diverse vanities, but fear thou the Most High.
Right. So the whole thing is, you're not going to be able to say on Judgment Day, well, the angel must have recorded that wrong. You're going to have to deal with whatever you did wrong at that point. So you got to get it right. And it says, for in the multitude of dreams, so all this imagination stuff you got going on with your foolishness, and many words, there are also diverse vanities. There's a lot of foolishness within your imagination. Okay? So a lot of times you literally will try to lie to yourself to just keep the foolishness going. All right? Let's read that bullet point there. Let's read that commentary.
There will be no one at the judgment seat blaming others for why they sinned against the Most High. There's an angel recording every evil you have ever committed. Oftentimes, the blaming of others only puffs up our own minds, so that the adversary can still sit unnoticed while we focus on others. And internal change truly begins when we finally realize we can't run from ourselves.
All right, let's go to the next one there, the next bullet point. Because that's a deep thing. That's why we have these, we're going to keep going, we're going to do other ones too. We have these workshops where we start to put things in a scenario which people can see the real way things should be done as opposed to the stuff they've been doing before. Like sometimes this, if you actually can view this person handling their situation, whether it's addiction or not, you're like, man, they're pretty reckless. But somehow they think that they're fine. So the whole thing is, we have to realize that when it comes down to it, and it says, I'll read that last sentence again, internal change truly begins when we finally realize we can't run from ourselves. Once you finally face your spirits, okay, you will be a lot better off. All right, let's read the next one.
Confidential sin. Most commonly, addicts are the only ones who think their sins and transgressions are a secret secret.
Right. How many people have seen the alcoholic, for example, whispering in the house as if nobody knows they're drunk? No, I'm fine. And they just doing that. They think that somebody high thinking nobody knows they're high. They'll go to the job smelling like straight plants. Burnt plants. Okay? But they was in the car real quick trying to hit themselves with some axe spray or something. I don't know what's up there. They either hit themselves with it, they think nobody else can smell it. Right? Go ahead.
They look to conceal their issues through lies and actually believing it's working. Those close to them have noticed they're drinking too much, doing drugs, squandering away vital finances, overeating, overly aggressive, constantly living in filth, etc.
Right. So people around them, though, that are not dealing with that same spirit can identify there's something going on here. And you notice it says something key here. It says, squandering away vital finances. This is another bit of evidence that you got an addiction. Start looking at what your money's going to. I mean, there's people who will literally say they can't, afford certain things, and then all of a sudden, which are actually important, and then all of a sudden they'll go a couple states over to go send something. Wasting money on that though. And it's not even a one-time thing. So the whole thing is we have to realize, let me read this again, let me see some other points here. Drinking too much, doing drugs, all this stuff sometimes runs together, but if it's individual, it's still just a problem nonetheless. Even just mention one thing on here, All right, let's see. Read the next line.
This secret way of living is attributed to the spirit of lying, being accessed by the person who is overcome by sin. Even when confronted with the truth, they continue to tell lies. These actions only leave the sinner destroyed spiritually, not others.
And that's the crazy thing. You almost need a recording feed for people when they're dealing with spirits. Because it don't matter. You can catch them, oh, let me just say, no, I just said, and you'll be going in circles. Now, there will be 3 witnesses standing there, and they'll still say they didn't say that. They still say, well, no, I didn't do that. Literally caught right in there and say, I ain't robbed the bank. They got the ink still from the dye, from the little dye packs they have that money. So I didn't rob the bank. That's crazy, but it's true. Right? Read on. John, I ain't giving the reference. St. John 3:17 through 21. Yeah, because they said the spirit of the car red-handed, right? They had that expression. But listen, they started putting little packs of dye in the bank bags. Told me they would steal it, it was floating in their hands and stuff. It was all over the place. So I was using that as a reference because that's how bad it could be. It could be plain as day to everyone else, but the person still in it, nope, that ain't it. Are you calling me a liar? Well, I'm not calling you a liar, but right about now, I'm hearing a lie here. You see? That's another thing with that spirit of fighting. The person will know what they are, but they'll put it on you to say it. Are you calling me a liar? Like, wait a minute, you're trying to make an offense now here. Instead of just admitting you're wrong. Right? Yeah, here comes the aggression. Go ahead.
John chapter 3, verse 17. For the Most High sent not his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that through him the world might be saved. He that believeth on him is not condemned, but he that believeth not is condemned already, because he hath not believed in the name of the only begotten Son of the Most High. Verse 19. And this is the condemnation, that light is come into the world, and men love darkness rather than light, because their deeds were evil. For everyone that doeth evil hateth the light, neither cometh to the light, lest his deeds should be reproved. But he that doeth truth cometh to the light, that his deeds may be made manifest, that they are wrought in the Most High.
Right. So the whole thing is it's about operating in the spirit of truth. We all have to get there. Men all get there at the same exact time, right? But we'll get there. If we have the same agenda here. It tell you that when Christ came to the world, it was like light. It was shining light on all the confusion. That was the real problem people had. Because they weren't used to that. They were used to being in their own confusion and everybody just being fine with it as long as they took them a 20 or something. Okay, that's cool. Just go ahead and, let's just go ahead and bribe me here. That's what a lot of things ended up being in our councils and things back then. All right, who could afford to sin? Bribery. All right, let's see. Commentary here.
It tells us those in darkness hate the light, which is a strong statement, but it is true. As we demonstrated prior, the spirit of Friday comes forth to confront that truth which will root out the darkness within us. If we hate the person bringing it forth, Salaki, if we hate the person bringing it forth, this is another reason why sin is kept in secret.
Right. And we go to the next bullet point, but this is the thing. Let's see, let me go back. As was demonstrated prior to the spirit of fighting comes forth to confront the truth, which will root out the darkness within us, as if we hate the person bringing it forth. So it's like some medicine. You say, I stay nasty, I ain't gonna take it. Right? So that's the thing. Truth kit is just that. It will heal you of some confusion. If you didn't notice, a lot of you probably got a little healthier when you stopped eating things like pork and different crustaceans and things. You still started having better issues with as far as your skin going on. That's what truth does. It purifies. All right? Let's read on. What's that next one?
The wasting of vital time. There is much time being wasted following after our lust, which could have been used to better strengthen ourselves spiritually. With addictions, you find all the time in the world to partake in them, yet never seem to have enough time to do constructive things.
Right, let's touch on this right. The wasting of vital time. You have a person, they got children running around the house, hitting cartwheels, they done punch holes in the wall, and their addiction is gossip. So they just like this. All right, y'all quiet down there. And they just going on their little phone. They're addicted to gossip. Child has grown up, he didn't even know, he forgot what his parent looked like if it wasn't for them to see them briefly for a second, because they're just sitting here dealing with their addiction. You understand? So the whole thing is we have to begin to change this foolishness, including that stuff I mentioned, this whole gossip thing. Addicted to just hearing everybody's life and talking about it negatively to someone else. It's an addiction. And like I said, I'm giving you real scenarios. You have kids and everything, they don't even know what's going on here. Losing their minds because you're neglecting them based off your addictions. You're out and about, doing the fornication thing. You forgot you got children at home that need you. All this stuff. Going to the clubs and all that foolishness. You're 50-something years old, you're still in the club. I mean, this is the real thing, is it not? It's an addiction. You're not up in the club at 50 years old for probably one thing. That's what I'm going to get rid of. So the whole thing is that if we don't cut out these things, we are wasting vital time and others pay the price, especially our little ones. Okay? We got that sentence there.
Whole families are destroyed through the rebellious behavior. We refuse to let go and give far more of our attention.
Right. Let's go to John 8:32 through 38. It says that we refuse to let go. Because we will know straight up and down we need to stop something and refuse to let it go. Even when you have a person begging you to let it go. Alright? Read on. St. John 8:32.
St. John chapter 8, verse 32. And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. They answered him, We be Abraham's seed, and were never in bondage to any man. How sayest thou, ye shall be made free? Yeshua answered them, Verily, verily, I say unto you, whosoever committeth sin is the servant of sin. And the servant abideth not in the house forever, but the Son abideth forever. If the Son therefore shall make you free, ye shall be free indeed. Verse 37, I know that ye are Abraham's seed, but ye seek to kill me, because my word hath no place in you. I speak that which I have seen with my Father, and ye do that which ye have seen with your father.
Now this is key because a lot of them, they may have been keeping the law to a T here, right? But what they didn't realize is that even their thought process was sin. Here it is, they were thinking of murder in their hearts. So the whole thing is, Christ always took things on another level. He said, whoso committed sin is the servant of sin. He said, you guys are serving Satan. Period. Doesn't matter what else you got to boast of yourself. You're serving Satan right now. Okay? And of course, we're going to be offended. And remember, what did Judas do when he was called out? He said, Master, is it I? This is how we handle things. As if we don't know the facts on the ground. When we can't be told, because why? Because of those spirits we read earlier. We learn to be addicted to them. Delusional spirits. Right? Let's continue on here. Let's go to the next bullet point.
In sin, you're like a servant,
Next bullet point.
guilty as charged. Your feelings about your behavior should be a sign of whether or not there's a problem. That guilt you feel while still not being able to stop will tell you there's a deep sin rooted within you. Sometimes you can even feel a sinking feeling in your bowels. These things were given to you by the Father as indicators so that you stop the madness before it even starts. If you continue to suppress the guilt and find others to support its suppression, eventually you'll become irreparable or a reprobate.
Right, so you get a sinking feeling even when you're about to do wrong, and you still do it. Well, that was the Most High allowing you to feel, don't do it. It wasn't some special thing when you needed some opening of the heavens to not do it. He gave you something in your body that will indicate stop. And to tell you that also in the Testament of Reuben, when it goes into the organs and everything, how there's a spirit that works with them. It'll tell you to stop. You understand? So let's go to Romans 1:20 there. I forgot to mention that, through 32. But that's half the reason why these things materialize physically. If someone has, for example, anger and they deal with a lot of anxiety, maybe, and different things, and they become an alcoholic, guess what goes? A lot of times they live, right? Mm-hmm. It's the physical part of it. It's not by chance. There's certain spirits that will attack. And there's certain indicators the Most High will put in place before you even start your confusion. They're all there really for the same purpose, to keep you away. Sometimes you might have wondered, man, is the Most High mad at me? You keep messing up. He gave you a dream where you fall into hell. Is he mad at you? Hey, listen. I wouldn't need much more if somebody just dropping me to hell. I don't care if it was most of them or not. It's going to still be to tell me to do the right thing, man. I would take it that way. But sin will delude you that way. Man, it must have been, that extra sandwich I had or something last night. The mayonnaise was wrong. Mm-hmm. You try to figure some way that thing wasn't assigned to stop. Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. Same old. Let's go. 1:20.
Romans chapter 1, verse 20. For the invisible things of him from the creation of the world are clearly seen, being understood by the things that are made, even his eternal power and Godhead, so that they are without excuse.
So you can see the things around you and figure out this part is what they're going to. Read on.
Because that, when they knew the Most High, they glorified him not as the Most High, neither were thankful, but became vain in their imaginations, and their foolish heart was darkened. Professing themselves to be wise, they became fools, and changed the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like to corruptible man, and to birds, and four-footed beasts, and creeping things. Wherefore the Most High also gave them up to uncleanness through the lust of their own hearts, to dishonor their own bodies between themselves.
Right, so your addictions eventually lead you to do things that are unsavory, that are filthy. Why? To keep demons present. So you have to realize that's the game. They have to get you to debase yourself in some way. I think we were saying this on the lesson the other day, on Tuesday maybe, the way the Masons do it. They actually have them do certain rituals on purpose so that demons can be present. Okay, so you have to realize that that's what goes on. The more you get involved with your confusion that you allow to build up in your mind, the more filthy the situations eventually become. All right, read on.
Verse 25, who changed the truth of the Most High into a lie, and worship and serve the creature more than the Creator, who is blessed forever. Amen. For this cause, the Most High gave them up unto vile affections, for even their women did change their natural use into that which is against nature. And likewise also the man leaving the natural use of a woman burned in their lust one toward another, men with men, working that which is unseemly, and receiving in themselves that recompense of their error, which was met.
Right. So we went so far into things that now it becomes a bit of confusion where, people start to negotiate their mind, well, I was born this way. Right? Straight line. And the whole thing is that it says, listen, you get your reward for that. You're still going to get it. All right? Read on.
Verse 28, and even as they did not like to retain the Most High in their knowledge, the Most High gave them over to a reprobate mind to do those things which are not convenient.
Right, so people always ask, well, how do you know when you got a reprobate mind? Listen, I cannot tell you that. But eventually, if you don't change, the Most High will lead you to it. That's his call. He may say, you know what, this person don't want to change, that's it. And next thing you know, there's not a place you can turn where there's not a demon. Because you have to realize sometimes the Most High gives you that downtime where that demon's gone for a second, so that you can actually get back on track. That moment of clarity. We said it before, just jokingly. If I'm on the internet doing something I got in business, all of a sudden my computer cut off. I have a choice at that point to say, oh, it's time to go for a walk. Or I can just wait till that thing load back up and say, okay, come on. That's what usually happens, unfortunately. Think about it. That's what usually happens. The Most High will give you a second when you could have walked away. And you didn't. You just waited to do it again. That's the way it works. So, let's continue on here. Let's see what it gets you, though.
Verse 29. Being filled with Slakia. Verse 29. Being filled with all unrighteousness, fornication, wickedness, covetousness, maliciousness, full of envy, murder, debate, deceit, malignity, whisperers, backbiters, haters of the Most High, despiteful, proud boasters, inventors of evil things, disobedient to parents, without understanding, covenant breakers, without natural affection, implacable, unmerciful. Verse 32, who knowing the judgment of the Most High, that they which commit such things are worthy of death, not only do the same, but have pleasure in them that do them.
Right. As a matter of fact, that's why they're pushing these different, all these special alphabet groups and rainbow-colored decorations. That's why they're going after children, because children are innocent. And they glory in it. This is great. Let's entertain the kids at the library and read them some craziness. That's what this is. At some point, some people, the thing just broke. It was it. They had no concept of heaven and hell and all that. They said, listen, I'm done with all that. I don't need to hear it. So now it becomes a thing where they can't wait to infect someone else. Okay? Let's continue on here. Let's see the next bullet point.
Warring alone, telling yourselves that no one loves you, others just don't understand you, or you don't fit amongst the body, or anyone telling you the truth about yourself to justify your behavior may convince you that you're sheltering yourself from disappointment.
Right. This is a common thing too. When you're trying to help people through their addictions, their problems, the one thing they try to come with often is, well, you don't understand this one. Like as if you need some special college degree to get this basic stuff that people struggle with. But that's what the demons want you to be in that mindset of, so that you are warring alone. Nobody understands this. Right? Read on. Or excuse me. Or it's this thing where if I listen, and I'm going to read the statement again. Justify your behavior may convince you that you are sheltering yourself from disappointment. So you're saying, well, this is okay because at least it keeps me protected. Right? Read on.
You will not only feel alone, you will actually be alone, deceiving yourselves into believing you're different and can handle things that others are not able to handle, will only prolong the problem and escalate the possibility of going deeper into sin. These worldly tactics, but with the obedience of the Father, there is safety.
Right. So these are definitely worldly tactics that you're dealing with when you're going through that mindset. Because the Most High, even in this truth, when it feels like you're alone, it tells the people. So even with this, he didn't leave nobody alone. Okay? Even with the prophets, when they were actually alone, he found a way to make sure they weren't alone. So the whole thing is that's what the demons want, though, that delusion. There's nobody will understand. I need to get my little bubble dealing with this. Right? Proverbs 11 and 14. As a matter of fact, we actually started where we made that thing happen as well, through criticism of people on the wrong level. And what I mean by that, I'll give you an example of something that's not very spoken about, and it's actually keeping sin in our communities and causing it to build. Here's an example. When you're dealing with brothers, right? Yeah, you may have a sister or two come out and say, listen, this happened to me as a child, there was some abuse, so forth and so on. But it's almost like pulling teeth to get that from a brother. Why? Because in our communities, we were taught, that makes you a punk. You ain't tough. You're dealing with that spirit. When a lot of brothers need that bit of, or that moment where they can release that information to get some peace here. All they wanted when it first happened to them was that avenue to say something. That's another issue. Now, of course, it happens to sisters too, but what I'm saying is it's really weird amongst the brothers. Because they've been taught, if certain things happen, especially, let's say you got these things with these stuff that's happening to these children with their teachers in these schools. If it happens to a man, well, look like you grown up, look like you're a man. Well, no, something's going to be wrong with this guy. He's going to have a hyper situation there with that spirit now. Where's the avenue for him? So the whole thing is we have to promote that. We have to have people understand you're not alone here. The things that have happened to you, you have to deal with. There has to be some kind of situation where you can receive that counseling. Otherwise, you will continue to be like this. A lot of times, not all, indefinitely, but some people, they need some insight on what's going on. And if they never get it because of fear of our foolishness that we do in our communities with that, they're probably going to end up being the next nightmare out here that you got to deal with. Quite frankly. All right. 11 and 14. Can you read that, please?
Proverbs chapter 11, verse 14. Where no counsel is, the people fall, but in the multitude of counselors, there is safety.
Read that again. For those that may not believe in counseling, read it again.
Proverbs chapter 11, verse 14. Where no counsel is, the people fall.
The people fall. Go ahead.
But in the multitude of counselors, there is safety.
That's how you find your safety. You have to realize that it's a big part of this process. You must go through it. It's just that simple. You can't, the Bible tells you not to lean on your own understanding. If it said it, deal with it. All right? 1 Peter 5 and 6. Let's go there. Don't allow Satan to have you feel like you're warring alone. Because guess what? Sometimes even our addictions will have us in that thought process, as we read it earlier. Even if you don't feel a single whatever, but you have problems with rage, for example, you may not realize until you deal with some counseling. You may not even examine properly how that came about. Okay? Go on.
1 Peter chapter 5, verse 6. Humble yourselves therefore under the mighty hand of the Most High, that he may exalt you in due time, casting all your care upon him, for he cares for you. Be sober, be vigilant, because your adversary the devil is as a roaring lion, walketh about seeking whom he may devour. Whom resist steadfast in the faith, knowing that the same afflictions are accomplished in your brethren that are in the world. But the Most High of all grace, who hath called us into his eternal glory by Christ Yeshua, after that ye have suffered a while, make you perfect, establish, strengthen, settle you.
All right, so that's the process. Eventually, you will become balanced, though. And just make sure that, I can't emphasize this enough as well. Make sure that you start figuring out times to get your fasting in, get your prayer in. A lot of times the days go by and you're like a robot. You just, okay, we're going to work at this time, we're going to deal with the kids, they come back at this time. And the time just slips past and you forget to do these things. So make sure you're doing them. All right? So with that being said, we're going to move on. Have our Q&A there. And then we'll deal with the other stuff that we do announcements. Okay, Q&A. Have a question? Yes, sir.
Shalom, elders. I've already asked this question to one of my brothers before, but I just want a little bit, maybe some edification on that. It's more like I was talking to my brothers last Shabbat about how there's a book, I've forgotten, I think it's not the Wisdom of Solomon, but it's something to do with Solomon, where it speaks about all the names of the spirits in there. And I asked my brothers, I was like, hey brother, do you feel that we have to find out the names of these spirits in order to cast them out the same way Yeshua did?
No. You don't have to study demonology, because that's what you're talking about.
Yeah,
you don't have
right.
to study demonology to cast spirits out of them. Because the whole deal is this. When you're dealing with it in itself, the spirit will identify itself. That's the point. That's what Christ did. He didn't go to a demon book. He asked the spirit what his name was. You understand? So you don't have to get to some deep thing, because sometimes that can open up some problems for you.
Yes.
No, it's very simple with the Most High.
So it's like how my brothers told me, it's like if I see like a spirit of anger, I'm gonna approach that as, I'm gonna pull the covers and be like, well, you got that spirit of anger, I rebuke it in Yeshua's name, or
No.
no.
You don't want to do that, because see, this is the thing. You don't know if that's the spirit that actually presents itself right there. You're just assuming.
Okay.
So you're talking about two different things. If it's some, like for example, Bible possession going on, or that if it's a possession, then I'm trying to figure out exactly what that is so that I can solve this problem. If it's somebody just dealing with, they're just angry, or, like we read the other spirits earlier, well, that's something different to me, maybe a few more layers to deal with. But that's not casting out a demon. You're talking about two different scenarios. You understand? Now, you can know it for yourself, but the last thing that's going to go well, if you say to somebody, I see you got the spirit of anger on you right now, it's going to get worse. That's not how it works. That ain't going to go too well. So that's not how you do it. You actually have to understand one's different from the other. You're not casting out a demon. You're talking to somebody. You understand?
Yeah.
They're still home. They're just aggressive. So that's the difference. Okay?
Thank you, brother.
All right. I'm gonna tell you, I've seen people do that. That doesn't go too well. All right. So it's either, well, the whole deal is that they gave him some type of, they possibly some kind of tumors. When you go into not the Strongs, but what's it called? I'm getting drawing a blank here. And it could have been hemorrhoids as well, they're not sure, because we think nobody would ever see this thing, right? But the point is that it has to do with inflammation. Okay, so when you go into let me read it here. I'll have to go back here for a second.
More so the part of why they have to build a statue, like.
That is just Philistines going to the
Oh, okay.
They probably consulted one of their demons to get that understanding. Maybe. I don't know. One is they were trying to give some kind of gift for the, as a offering for them to have mercy with them. Because we all know the Most High dealing with them golden mice and stuff like that. Let me see if I can pull it up there. All right, here it is. It says, a Torier, also a mound that is fortress, emerald, fort, stronghold, tower. So some kind of growth going on now. When I go into this here, it says hill, mound, fort, stronghold, and then it says tumor, or possibly it says hemorrhoid. So we don't know which one we're there. I just know there's information on it. Okay? That I don't want to report on. Alright. Good question. Any questions? You said, how do we know the difference between the two? Well, what's the context of it? Yeah, you have to know the context to know what he's talking about. So you have to give me an example of how you.
Okay, well, when he said in this day you shall die, and we never live to be 1,000 years old. Like, the oldest man in the Bible was only about 900 years old. So I just thought that.
Well, that's something different. Well, the whole deal is he told Adam in the same day you shall die. Adam assumed he was talking about just some and all that good stuff. Okay, I'll be dead tomorrow. That type of thing. Nah. He assumed that. But he was actually referring to, and get that out of Jasher, he was referring to before that 1,000 years was up, you'd be dead for Adam. So, but that's context, you understand? You have to understand the context, yeah. But that's look at Jasher, that will explain that.
So I have to have like a specific question?
Yeah, for that, because you have to know, because like if the Most High gave certain amount of days before He would deliver us. Well, we know that don't mean tomorrow. You understand? So that was a prophecy, though. Okay, so you have to, it depends on the context. Yeah. Good question. Nah, that's what you're talking about, but you still need the context, because you're saying, how do you know when it mentions a day in a certain statement, how do I know which one it's referring to, 1,000 years or just tomorrow? You see what I'm saying? Right? Okay.
Excuse me. And to expand on her question, so when we read in Revelation that it says in the latter days, so could that be talking about a whole bunch of years, like thousands of years?
When it says, yeah, well, it depends. It still comes to context, but when it's talking about latter days, it's that, usually in that, from Revelations, you're talking about the combination. So that last bit of time in which Christ is about to return, that's when you Revelation is. But sometimes it can refer to latter days, meaning, for example, when Christ would come, when He was first hit the earth, that will span the time after Him. Okay, but Revelation is usually talking about, you know what I mean, like the end. Yeah, the end, the last days. Yeah. Good question.
Hold on a second. We got one online on it?
Okay.
Okay. This is Brother Max online. His question is, are leisurely activities permitted on the Sabbath, such as going for a walk or indoor activities such as simple, non-stressful cooking? Are leisurely activities permitted on the Sabbath?
That's a big statement. Leisurely activity, anybody can say a leisure activity. The Sabbath should be surrounding what's going on with the Most High and His work. That's a big general statement that anybody can read their own way. Somebody can say these leisure activities be on this PlayStation all the time. You understand? No, I'm being serious. I don't want to offend the person. I'm just saying you got to think of that. Like the point is, whatever you're doing, it should have to do with the Most High's work that day. When it comes to cooking, you still should be trying to do your best to prepare stuff ahead of time so you're not working and doing all kinds of stuff on Sabbath, sweating all over the place. You understand? Unless it's for the work. Because the priest did cooking and things for the work. Alright? Alright, so I'm going to give you an example of sister, your question here, Hosea 6:2. Here's context. Read that.
Hosea chapter 6, verse 2. After 2 days will he revive us. In the third day he will raise us up, and we shall live in his sight.
So that's the example. That obviously has to do with more than just tomorrow. You understand? So it's all about context, okay? Alright, so who we got going? Anybody else? It's a good building. Alright, so we'll do the new people, anybody, first time visitors, stuff like that? First time visitors, nobody? Okay, good. Alright, so, we're gonna do our announcements here. Yes. Or then again, before we cut it, we should make that Passover announcement so they know the date there, the cutoff date there. They can cut it.
Shabbat Shalom, family. The Hebrew Bible Academy is a 3-month online Hebrew Bible and history course, which includes 12 weeks of live biblical lessons each Sunday. Brand new in-depth lessons on the truth behind the fall of Adam and Eve, marriage is cursed, the mysteries of UFOs and the Bible, plus more groundbreaking lessons that you will not want to miss. You can make installment payments of $50 for 3 months or a one-time payment of $150. For more payment information, you can go to historytimes.org. This Sunday will be lesson number 8. I Am Apparel Store, a new clothing line created to meet your unique style and is available for everyone for your shopping experience. You can check that out on the Gathering of Christ website. We are so excited to announce the pre-order launch of the brand new 2020 GOCC Hebrew calendar. This new calendar clearly lists the Gregorian and Hebrew months, dates, and seasons, and provides a full list of our holy days and feast days. To order, go to historytimes.org, and all pre-orders will be shipped in the second week of February, which is this is probably our second week. Children are not allowed to run around the church. Parents, please keep your children with you at all times. We ask that the parents using the nursery rooms to remember the clean area before leaving. Parents, if your children are in the nursery room, you must be there with them. February 18th and 19th, we'll celebrate Purim. The church will celebrate it on the 22nd. We've handed out all the gift slips. So please remember to bring your gift on the 22nd of February. If you're not going to be here on that day, please bring your gift early, and you can give it to anyone on the event committee. Can our event committee please stand up? So if you're not going to be here, here's a couple of members of our event committee. You can get the gifts to them. Thank you. March 20th and 21st. Is our Passover. We can now reserve the hotel rooms. I hope everybody has their hotel room reserved. It's the DoubleTree and La Quinta Hotel. or any church, any hotel if you prefer. For Passover information, a list of the Passover form was sent out on the Google Group email. Only baptized members may attend. When paying for the Passover, they extended the time to February 28th. So people, we need to get the money in, even including me. So the deadline is the 28th. If you're planning on attending the East Coast Passover, you will need to speak with Elder Ruba. He can give you all that information regarding the East Coast Passover. Choir rehearsal every Sabbath at 11:30. If you're going to be late or not able to attend, please text Brother Nasa. The music department is looking for talented people, and if you can play the keyboards, drums, or guitar, please see Brother Nasa.